Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll go through the Essendon vs West Coast game in what was actually turned out to be a really good game to watch, just because Essendon was shocking outside of basically Merrett and Hind. And West Coast through Kelly almost got this game done. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I actually upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, Merrett 128, and yeah, pretty good game by him. Would have liked to have seen him get another 10, 15, just so that it closed the gap a little bit to the Bont VC owners, as they gained 23 on me and others that had Merrett and took Merrett. Yeah, it was alright. I mean, I would have liked to have seen him, if he'd gotten 2 or 3 tackles in the first half and not handballed it instead and kicked it instead of all these marks. Basically, you see 5 marks, all handballs, and he'd taken those 5 kicks. That 5 kicks would have got him up to 133, 2 tackles would have got him up to 141. That would have been 10 points, and that would have been really manageable, but obviously can't take that. And yeah, it was an alright game. He ended up with 7 marks and 8 tackles or something like that. But yeah, only I think it was only one kick off a mark or something like that, and that's just isn't really good enough for a guy like Merrett when he takes 6 or 7 marks or something. So yeah, happy with what he did. We'll use him probably as a VC against North Melbourne, as they play that as well, and look at the potential for, I think was it Bont again? It was someone. They play here, and then Bont has the Hawthorn game, but he's potentially going to get tagged. Could look at the Swans game, but that also is the early game starting at the same time, so cannot do that. I swear I said someone was up there as well in my thoughts for the captain. Maybe even a St Kilda, like against, well, they play, not really. Could you do, was it English potentially in the ruck? No, but he would be, I don't know who it was potentially. Could you, it might have been Brayshaw against the Eagles. That could be a good shout actually now looking at it. So it'd be Merrett into either Bont or Brayshaw. And was it potentially, no, it wasn't Doherty at all. So that's probably what I was thinking at the time, or was it, I know what it could be, but I don't think it might. I don't think Sicily. I'm confused who I was thinking at the time, trying to think through all these games, as I don't think it was Rowan Marshall either against, we'll have to wait and see with what happens with the Carlton ruck department. But who did Carlton haven't played this week? And they play, who do they play? Carlton play St Kilda. So we'll have to see how Rowan Marshall does, because who do they? St Kilda play Richmond. Carlton play Melbourne. So I don't know who it was, but we'll have to wait and see on that one, as that'll be next week's stuff. But definitely Merrett will be my VC again, and we'll go from there. Parish 113. He butchered the ball, but doesn't matter in AFL fantasy. And yeah, 113 from him's fine. And yeah, he's been pretty good once as I've brought him in. I mean, I brought him in, I think, for an average of around about 101. So 102 plus 113 is 315. So an average of 105 as I brought him in is fine. And now has the easy game against North Melbourne next week as well, where hopefully he can go 115. And that'll get him up to almost a 110 with me, which is really good. Hind 113. He was actually really good in the second and third, just getting a lot of their ball movement going. But I don't expect him to carry on that form for the rest of the year, so I wouldn't bother with him. Heppel's actually been really good as he's played the last 3 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if Heppel has an average of around 90 these last 3. Yeah, 95 or so, 97, and then 98 last 5. So he's probably about a top 12 defender, which isn't good enough, but at the moment. But you know, he's doing all right. But I think there's better options, such as like a Sheasel or a Will Day. I think is a better option at this rate. Redmond 100, Langford 96, Durham, Phillips, Zerk Thatcher did all right. Perkins, Sada 65, and this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to get 60s, and he's going to come in next year priced at probably 55 or something like that, and I don't think that's a go. So we got to hope that he doesn't get too many more games, because if he's priced anywhere above about that 45 range, I don't think he's going to be that much of a go, to be honest. As second season, I don't rate it too much. Especially because he's gonna have those bad games, and I don't think you can really have a mid-pricer like that, especially with the way it's trending at the moment, that we're gonna have a lot of underpriced midfielders such as Mills. Even Steele is probably a little bit underpriced, but he's rapidly gaining back. But Steele has the potential to go 120 plus for a season, so I think he's still definitely a go. And you have like Miller and stuff like that, who are definitely unders as well. But yeah, Sardis is just, he's scoring too well at the moment. McGrath, 62, Laverde, Wright, Caldwell, Hobbs, Martin as well. So Martin is dropping fast out of that All-Australian contention. It's basically, it's gotta be Gordon, because he had another best on ground, and Dacos should be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go like Dawson on a wing or something like that. As I think far and away, Gordon is the All-Australian wingman. You surely have to have at least one wingman, and Nick Martin's just fallen away, and I don't think he's a top 6 forward anyway for fancy reasons anymore. Cox, 50, Brian, Kelly, Menzies, Guelphy, and Davey came on. Davey's interesting, obviously, because he's going to have about a 35 average, which is going to put him around that 300k next year, and could be interesting if he actually gets onto the field. But I'd look for his brother, if his brother gets a debut early, because his brother will be priced at 200 and probably have the same effect as Davey did this year. Kelly, 112, he was absolutely huge, and he's just been really consistent other than about 3 or 4 games this year. About 2 games in the last 3 or 4 weeks, with Kelly. If we look here, ultra consistent other than this patch here that he had. Other than that, his lowest score was an 79, then an 89, and he had an 88, 67, 83. So he had his three out of his 4 lowest scores of the year in back-to-back weeks, which just isn't really good enough. But I think he's still a really strong and good pod. For a lot of people, when they would have got him in, if you have him for the last 7 or 8 weeks, it's probably good, other than the patch that I said. Witherden, 106, one to definitely look at next year. I mean, he's averaging, I think, 81 or so with that way. He's averaging 79. 3 games to go. He will be playing next year as that rebounding defender without Hearn, or without potentially there's going to be potentially Duggan going as well. I wouldn't be surprised. So, and with the way that the Eagles are going, I don't expect any other defenders to really come in. Duggan's played a more midfield role. You've got Tom Cole as well. He's done really well, so I wouldn't be surprised if he and you got Jaden Hunt as well down there as well. Any other guys that I expect to move on? Elliot Yo's been in and out on the side, to be honest, so I don't expect him to do too much. Hoff could be an interesting one next year, actually, with Hearn going, but he didn't play a good enough game, to be honest. And McGovern's probably going as well, so there's a lot of defenders going from West Coast, so I think you got to look out for Witherden being that main ball distributor if Duggan goes into the midfield. So we'll look at that, as Witherden could easily average 105 for a year, to be honest, and priced at, say, he ends up 82, 83, that could be a go. Duggan, 96. This is what I sort of expect from him. Could have easily, honestly, scored another 10, 15 if he kicked straight. But, just missed a couple of chances with in the first quarter. Cole, 92, he was absolutely huge in the first and then fell away, so looking for more consistency out of him for next year, potentially. Hunt was alright for an 82. He sort of picked up a lot later on in the year. Cripps, Edwards, Gaff, Allen, Yo, 73, just not really on it this year, to be honest, as injuries have massively affected him. Rotham, Darling, Petrocelli, Hoff, Merrett, Long, McGovern. Hewitt is definitely one for next year, I'm pretty sure, as he started off really strong but then fell away, obviously. but that average of, I believe it's going to be, I think it's going to be locked in at around that, he's played 11 games, 43, so we're not going to get any discount, but that's going to be locked in at around 45, 50 potentially with 3 games to go. Can he get 40, 45 for, I think Hewitt is one that I would back more than Sardis to go up. Chesser, 40, William, especially because if you take out Hewitt's sub games, you take out 1, 2, well, even that Melbourne game was just a shocker, but you take out the 3 bad performances there. He's down to 8 games and 21, 32 off, so 11 games times 43.5 minus, was it 22 or 32? 21, 32 minus 32 divide by 8, and you're already getting him averaging 56 basically rather than 44. So I think that's a massive increase, as well as the fact that I think he will get a bigger increase as we've seen. I mean, he did, I think his last 5 is around that 60 or so. Last 5, 56, last 3, 59, even with a 45. So, and with that midfield, I think opening up for him next year, we could see him flourish a little bit better. So I think he could easily average 75, 80 next year, and that would be plus 30, 35, which I think is a go. Chesser did alright, but obviously 40 isn't good enough really, and is actually going down in price. Williams, and then the other Jalen Williams came off, and yeah, 37 for him isn't too bad, actually gaining some more cash, and he seems to be playing alright, just needed to be subbed off for another body, I guess, at the end. But anyway, that is the recap of the Essendon versus West Coast game, and I guess I'll see you guys in the last game of the round, which was the Adelaide versus Gold Coast game. So thanks guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.